Brittni, what's the single most important thing that coaches and consultants should be doing to ensure a consistent flow of new clients to their business?
I think one of the most important things is to work on their funnels and to understand where their clients are coming from. We have to drive traffic, and that's the name of the game is getting traffic. And it's either you have to invest either time or money, but we have to drive traffic. But we have to make sure that we have those funnels, those processes in place so that we can convert those, potential clients into paying clients.
Okay, driving traffic, funnels at work. Great way to kick off today's episode. Hello and welcome to the Seven Figure Life Fulfillment Podcast, where we share strategies to help coaches and consultants build life-affirming, seven-figure businesses filled with passion and purpose. I'm your host, Ken Stephen, and my guest today is Brittni Schroeder. Brittni is a business coach and marketing strategist who's devoted to helping entrepreneurs work less and make more as they scale their business. And today we're exploring how sales funnels can help coaches and consultants achieve more time freedom and financial freedom for their business. Brittni, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Ken.
Yeah, it's a great topic we're diving into today. Let's pick up where we left off. What's the biggest mistake you see coaches and consultants make in their funnel design? You've talked about how important they are, but what are the biggest mistakes you see them making?
Yeah, I see people building funnels and they slap them on their website or they put them in their bio, but they're not testing them. So they put them on there and then they just kind of forget about them. And funnels is marketing and it's testing. And you have to understand how to read analytics and how to see what's working and what's not. And there's a lot of different ways to test, and there's different spots in your funnel, and sometimes if it's not converting, I call it, well, there's a leak in your funnel somewhere. We have to find that leak. But a lot of entrepreneurs don't understand analytics. They're not looking and dissecting their funnels, and so they're just not converting. And that's a big mistake that a lot of entrepreneurs are making.
Let's talk a bit more about this whole idea of analytics. I think you're right. A lot of people, does they set up a funnel and the analytics are just kind of this overwhelming thing. They don't even know what it is they should be measuring, what they should be caring about. So can give some clues on what we should be looking for in the analytics.
Yeah, well, let's break it down. So the very first part of a funnel is, you build this landing page, right? And that's where you're going to gather people's name and their email. So that's the very first, that's like the first date, right? And it's the first impression. And, if you're looking at traffic, so you have to understand the analytics of, am I even getting traffic to this landing page, right? And if you're getting traffic, then that's check. Okay, you get traffic. Then it's part, and then the next step is to look at the landing page. And is it converting? Are people they're coming to the landing page? Are they putting in their email and clicking, right? So when we look at that landing page, if we get traffic and it's not converting, then it's something on the landing page. And a lot of times it could be, a lot of times I feel like it's like people's copy. There's not a lot of clarity. And, they might throw something up there but it's not clear. Like, what does this do? So as entrepreneurs, a lot of times we're looking to either, help them with the transformation or to solve a problem. And so is the copy clear? Does it solve the problem, whatever the problem is? And so, I recently worked with a client and she had some like self-assessment, and that was her freebie, her lead magnet. But I'm like, self-assessment for what? Well, it's to see if you have any blind spots in your relationships. And again, I'm like, okay, but what's the transformation? People want the transformation, or people want, the problem solved. And if you're not clear on that, then they're not going to click. Okay, here's an assessment, but what problem is it going to fix? Is it going to fix your relationship? Is it going to, help you with something? What is it? And so we have to kind of play around with the different copy, and are we really clear? And I think that's where a lot of people struggle on that part of the funnel. Um, Another thing that you can do is test it. I had another client, and she was a life coach for empty nesters. And so, we were testing, we were doing an A/B testing, and she had this course that she was selling, and it was to help people with their adult children, relationships with adult children. And we tested it with the copy was how to accept your adult child. And then we test it with how to accept your adult child who has left your faith or your belief system or something like that. And we tested the two, and the one that was like really niche down, adult children who had left your faith, it outperformed the other one. And so it was just, it's that kind of testing. Once you have to just kind of tweak and test and tweak and test until you find exactly what speaks to your audience. So that's a good place to start. So another thing is, well, that's the first step. Do you have any questions before I mean, I'm gonna just
Oh
keep
no,
going.
this is good.
Okay.
Just take us through the entire process.
Okay,
This
I'm
is
taking you through the
helpful.
process. Okay, so that's the first, and that's the landing page. And you have to test and tweak and test and tweak. A lot of times you have to give it some time too, unless, well, here's the caveat with that. If you are paying, if you already get a lot of traffic to your website or this page, or you're running ads, sometimes if you're doing it organically, it's going to be a longer test period because you want to give it some time to really get a lot of traffic, right? But that's the first place where you're going to test is if you're getting traffic and it's not converting, it's your landing page. And it's either, it can be your offer, it can be your copy, and you kind of just have to play around with that and see what works and what doesn't. The next step is going to be that nurture sequence, and those are the emails where you are positioning yourself as an expert. You are connecting with your audience. You're building that like to know trust factor, right? And so we have to test that. So I always recommend when you are when you're delivering a freebie or whatever it is, this could be maybe you're doing a training, maybe it's a guide, whatever your free thing is in exchange for their email. I always suggest you deliver the freebie, and then the next one is you introduce yourself, and this is going to be your about me. And I highly recommend, especially if you're a solo entrepreneur, to include a picture of yourself because you're touching all the senses. You want them to connect and visualize what it is. We're visual people. There's a book that I read not too long ago, and they did this study, and it was called the Baker study. And they said people are more likely to remember if your occupation is a baker, more likely to remember that than if your last name was Baker because we visualize.
Mm.
And we visualize, like a baker's hat and like croissants or whatever it may be. We visualize that. And so we have to be able to like connect in different ways. And I always say include a picture. How many times, I can't even tell you how many times I've signed up for someone's email and then I get an email a week later and I'm like, now who is this? I cannot remember who is this person. But when we include that, a visual, a picture, or we're connecting with them, then they're more likely to remember. The next step is the next emails is where you're going to position yourself as an expert. And this is where you help them. These quick little wins. You give them maybe, hey, here's a podcast I recorded, or here's a blog post that goes in detail on X, Y, and Z, whatever it is that's relevant to your lead magnet. And you're going to do that for a few emails and you're going to nurture them. Then you're going to maybe throw in some testimonials, show that you can really get them the results or the transformation that they want. And you're just building that know, like, and trust factor. Now, here's a question that I get all the time. Do your sales funnels convert? Like, should they be converting every time? The answer is they may or they may not. It depends on your offer. It depends on the price point, because there's that point of friction, when you're investing. A $17 product might be an easy conversion because there's not a lot of, resistance. But a $1,700 product, if it's a cold audience, it's probably not going to convert with a series of 7 emails, right? So there's different factors that go into it. But then after you do this nurture sequence and you're introducing yourself, you're positioning yourself as an expert, then you're going to add them to your main list and you're going to continue to nurture them and continue to sell to them. Sometimes the funnel takes like a year or even two to convert, depending on what it is, but you need to continue to create value. There used to be a saying, and you're probably familiar with this, Ken, where it's like once somebody like seven points of contact or whatever before people will like buy. Well, now because we're so inundated with so much information all the time, they're saying it's up to 30 or 40 times where people have to be exposed to you and see what you have before they're ready to invest, you know? And again, depends on your offer, depends on your price point, depends on your audience. There's a bunch of different variables, but it's these funnels are we're going to continue to nurture them and we're continue to sell to them and offers and and it's different and people are at different points in their journey and you just have to keep being consistent and that's how you convert. That's how you convert people. So,
Yeah, great summary of everything you really need to be thinking
mhm.
about when you're putting a funnel together. Um,
Yeah.
what what do you recommend people? What software or platform you have a software or platform you recommend that people set this all up on? Because this is automation we're talking about now, right?
Yeah.
Like so
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about how automation factors into this.
Yeah. Automation is my love language because I think it's so important that we automate as much as much of our business as we can so that we can focus on the things that really matter, and that's relationship building, right? And so we want to maintain the integrity of our business. So the more things that are automated in our business, the more like easy our business will flow and we don't get burnt out and we're focusing on these different relationships. So there is a ton of different software programs out there. And you know, there's so many shiny objects right now. And I see a lot of people investing a lot of money when they don't really have to. I use Flowdesk and I can actually send you, I have a coupon code for 50% off, but I use Flowdesk for my email marketing. And I've used a ton of different email marketing programs. I've used MailChimp, ConvertKit, MailerLite. I've used a ton of them. I love Flowdesk. I think it's so user friendly. They have beautiful templates. They have great analytics. It's really great. That's what I use, but there's a lot of programs out there. They all work really great, but it is, it's AI. AI is kind of trendy right now, but we've actually been using like AI for a long time. And it's really integrated in a lot of these programs. And so somebody will you know, sign up for like my freebie, and then all these emails, and it's triggered. Once they are, they're in the emails, it triggers, and then the action is then they receive an email, and you time it out so they, you can do it however you want, but I time mine out so they're getting an email every couple days until I add them to my main list, and it's automatically added to my main list. That's something I've set up to automate. And then they get an email once a week, or depending on what I have going on, once or twice a week, but consistently once a week. So, but lots of programs have those automations in them, and it just keeps everything flowing. So nothing gets dropped, and nothing falls in the cracks because it flows so easily through automation. So
So Brittany, marketing is one of those things like can really be a time suck, right?
yeah, yeah.
Um, what advice do you have for coaches and consultants on how to balance how much time they spend on trying to build their business versus actually, running their business and doing what their superpower is, which is trying to get a transformation for their clients?
Yeah. No, that's a great question. And again, it's different with everybody. Everybody's different, but I would say, especially depending on where you are in your entrepreneur journey. I've been an entrepreneur for many years, 17 plus years. And sometimes I get people that come to me and they're just brand new and they're like, I want my business to look like your business. And I say, oh, it took me 17 years to build this. But realistically, I tell people the first year, the first and second year, you are building your business. Yes, you're going to get clients. Yes, you're going to make money. But this is the important and crucial time where you're building these systems, these funnels, these automations. You're building that part of your business, and it does take time. But once that those are built, it gets really easy because you've created these templates, and a lot of times it's like a duplicate. Like for example, like if I wanted today to build a funnel, say I came up with a new idea for like a training or a guide or something. Of course, I'd have to create that training or guide, but I can go to one of my sales funnels. I can duplicate that sales funnel and then I can like tweak it so that it is relevant to whatever I'm offering. And so it takes a lot of time and you have to be realistic. The other thing is allocate your time where you're getting the biggest return on investment. We talked a little bit about this previously, is a lot of people entrepreneurs default to social media and they think, oh, I need to be on social media. I need to spend all this time because so and so is doing it that way. And that's not always the case. There's different ways to get traffic, there's different ways to get business than social media. But one of my biggest time saving hacks is I'm a big planner. I plan my day the night before and I allot time for different parts of my business. So, for example, social media. I don't like to spend a ton of time on there. I give myself an hour on Mondays to create like content.
Hmm.
And then once that hour is up, it's done, and I move on to something else that is going to help move the needle in my business. And so I think it's just, it takes a time. Rome wasn't built in a day, right? And so we have to just allot time. If I'm building a funnel, I can say, give myself an hour. Can I build it in an hour? I may be able to, or I may not. But once the hour is up, I like drop what I'm doing and I move on to the next thing. And I try to keep the momentum going in my business and doing the things that are helping my business the most. So I don't know if there's like a set time because everybody is different. I'm super techie, and so I can build a funnel like a lot faster than other people can. But it really is just like dedicating time to work on these different areas in your business and trying to stay on task and within that time frame.
Before we leave, is there one last tip you want to recommend to help coaches and consultants scale their business?
Yeah, I think just, consistency. Running a business is no joke. It's a lot of work. And don't get frustrated. Don't compare your beginning to somebody else's middle and get help. Like look for somebody who is a chapter ahead of you who can help you. And that's going to save you time. I've been lucky and very blessed in my life to have some really great mentors. And I feel like it has saved me a lot of time and heartache because I've had that help. So that would probably be my advice.
So speaking of getting help, how can people reach out to you if they want some help from you?
Yeah, you can find me at brittnischroeder.com. If you want some like one-on-one help with building funnels and automations and all those things, you can, go to my website, schedule a consult, and we can set you up. If you are a little bit more self-paced, I have a business membership where we are self-paced. I do live coaching a couple times a month. But there is tons of resources in there that can help you if you are a little bit more self-paced and you want to do it on your own. And that is brittnischroeder.com/membership is where you can find that information. So,
And you've also got a free gift for anyone listening today too, right?
yes, yes, I have a sales funnel, a high converting sales funnel guide that kind of walks you through how to build a sales funnel. So, and that's at brittnischroeder.com/funnels. So, and I think that Ken probably has that link. So you
Perfect.
can,
And I will indeed put all three of those links in the show notes below. And Brittni, I want to thank you for being so generous with your time and sharing your insights today. And for anyone who's listening today, if you got benefit from what Brittni was talking about, please make sure you share this with someone who can also get those benefits as well.